Welcome to Healing Your Family Legacy, here on the Experience of the Soul podcast channel. Innovative, evidence-based recovery that helps to identify intergenerational trauma, allowing for freedom and embracement of the healing process. Today, episode 104, Regrets, Part 2. And now your host, Dr. Donna Bevan-Lee.
This is Dr. Donna Bevan-Lee. Welcome to the Dr. Donna podcast. And like I said before, I've changed this now, just to remind you. It used to be Healing Your Family Legacy, and I've talked about that enough. Now I'm talking about life on life's terms. Okay? How we do our lives. And, anybody that has had a guide or a coach to help them through some difficult thing in their life. You've heard before how energetic, these people are to say, hang in there, don't give up. And, that's what I'm going to tell you right now, because if you're listening to me, I guess I'm a guide for you right now. I'm trying to help you deal with the regrets that you've had now. And we're just talking about the regrets of your well-intentioned New Year's resolutions that, are already starting to buckle. All right. But I am telling you this because I know, and those of you who know me know this, that I really want people to know a very important reality of life that cannot be put aside. You can't argue this, and that is life is not a dress rehearsal for anything. It's the main act. Okay? It is not a dress rehearsal. And so if you say, okay, well, I'll do this later, procrastination is that thought. Procrastination is a thought that goes something like, well, what I'm doing right now is just a dress rehearsal. I'll do the main thing later. No, that is not true. That is not true. Even if you're rehearsing for something, what you're doing right now in your life. So let's say you're a dancer and you're rehearsing for a dance. All right. That is just what you're doing for that activity. The fact that you're doing it is your life. And that part is not a dress rehearsal. So you say, all right, okay, so what? Well, so what is that life on life's terms says that problems will happen, losses will occur, anger will hit you, shame will come. And if you grew up in a family where you felt ashamed of yourself now, then you know that's a result of your childhood trauma. I said last week, I reiterated what people should feel ashamed about. Oh, even if they're doing something that is so outrageous that you can't believe it. And you say, I've heard people say, has that person no shame? Okay, that's probably legitimate. They might be doing something that is absolutely inappropriate. But it's not going to help them if they feel ashamed about that. It will help them if they feel guilty about that behavior, because guilt is something you can change. It's like I feel guilty that I did that, and so I'm not going to do that anymore. Guilt is one of those emotions that helps us say, I jumped out of my moral system and my ethics right now. I think I'll jump back in. That's that feeling of guilt. But shame just makes you feel bad. So I just feel like a piece of crap right now, and I should go over to the corner and hope that nobody notices me. That's what that is. And I talked about it last week in terms of women going to the gym. It's like, it feels terrible to go to the gym for a lot of women. I get it. And, I stopped going to the gym. I kept trying, year after year. I'm going to the gym. I got to get upper body strength going. Year after year for only 2 years. And then I said, this gym thing's not going to happen. Instead of saying, well, I failed and I didn't, I didn't finish and I didn't do it and blah, blah, blah. And I still don't have upper body strength. It's like, no. Twice I made a resolution to go to the gym. Well-intentioned. I know I need to. I know I want to. And I don't do it. I do it for a little while and then I stop. So I guess I'm not going to the gym. You see, instead of feeling regretful and trying to hide and pretend that that's not a regret, I say, well, I regret that I wasn't able to do that, but now I'm done with that. Because I know now, twice I tried, that I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to the gym. So I'm not going to do that well-intentioned resolution again. I think what I'll do is I will get my own little weights. And I'm amazed if you go online and try and find weights or exercise equipment. Geez, there's so much. It's just a matter of what you want. And people that are done with those things and don't want to have them in their house anymore are selling them for nothing. So go on Facebook Marketplace, go on, the many different places you can buy things from other people and buy yourself some weights or equipment. But, and then say, well, okay, don't buy a whole gym, okay? If you do, guess what? You're going to feel like regret that I bought this because I'm only using this. So start out by maybe buying, one of the things that people buy that I think they actually use is like maybe a little exercise bike or a rowing machine. Those are two things that are very good for you. They exercise a lot of different parts of your body, a lot of different muscle groups, okay? Or, like me, it's like I go out walking all the time or hiking. So I don't really need to have something that exercises my legs in the house because I am not needing that. And so the little weights, if you say, I'm going to get my upper body going, don't start out with 25-pound weights. You won't do it. You won't be able to do it. And then you'll feel, what? Like a failure. And you'll regret having bought the 25-pound weights. And then you'll feel ashamed. Oh, dear. I just blew, all this money on 25-pound weights. Start out, if you're a male, start out with a 10 or 15-pound weight. If you're female and you're, say, under the age of 60 or 65, start out with a 10-pound weight or a 5-pound weight. Because like I told you, it's like, I'm really strong in my upper body. The only reason it's kind of sore right now is because I forgot I was 72 and went down a great big hill up on the mountain on a sled. And even though I made it to the bottom without falling off, my body got jerked around pretty well. So I'm a little sore. But, for the most, I'm strong. It didn't hurt me forever to do that. It just made me a little sore. If I didn't have upper body strength, I would be, it's like I could have hurt myself. Now, I always call those things, at my age, I always call those things bone density tests. Okay. I just passed another bone density test. But that's because I'm strong in my upper body. What weights do I use? 8 pounds, 5 pounds, and 10 pounds. And it depends on what I'm doing. Now, I do have some 15-pound kettlebells that, I do have some lower back issues. So I used to do what you call farmer's walk with those kettlebells. And what that is, you just pick them up on either side and you just walk with them. like a farmer, right? Carrying buckets of slop to the pigs or buckets of milk to the house or whatever, right? Can't do those. So I stopped. Like, not with regret, because I didn't stop because, well, I'm kind of tired of this. When you do self-care, and I've just been talking about exercise now. When you do self-care, it's not something you do and then stop. Self-care is a commitment to yourself and a reality check that says, this isn't a dress rehearsal. This means this is my life. It's what I do. Okay? So we're talking about exercise. I've talked about that. I always come back to the things that are self-care. All right? And use your regrets as a motivation to do it differently. And if you need help to figure out what that would be, get a guide, get a coach, get a therapist. Well, don't get a therapist that doesn't do self-care. And you'll know when you walk in. It's like, are they really overweight? Are they dressed, like a frump? Whatever that is. Can you smell cigarette smoke? Or alcohol on their breath? Do they look tired? Do they have bags under their eyes? It's like they're not doing self-care. Is that who you want for self-care? Is that who you want to take suggestions from? They might know things from a book, but it'll come empty. All right? And you have to be pretty special in your mind to say, well, that person's not doing it, but maybe if maybe I could do it, even if they're not doing it. Do you take suggestions from people that aren't doing it themselves? Let's say you want to stop drinking. That's another New Year's resolution. If you want to stop drinking and already, it's like this is your New Year's resolution, you start drinking again and you're already in trouble somehow. It's like you're already feeling sick again. You're already, dragging your butt into work. You're already not available for your spouse or your kids or whatever. It's like that is a regretful situation. And you take that you regret and you say, you know what? I need to do it differently. And so am I going to choose my drinking buddies to listen to how I'm going to do this? No, they're drinking. That's not who's going to help you with this. If you want to stop drinking, you either go to a therapist that specializes in addiction, because if you've tried and you failed, you probably have some level of addiction going on or psychological dependence going on. Okay. That's all right. You could say, wow, I regret that I wasn't able to do that. I guess I have a problem. You don't have to feel ashamed about that. That's not what your intentions were when you started to drink. So don't wallow in that. You say, okay, what would be a good guide for me to be able to stop drinking? Wait, I've heard this before. AA might be helpful. Alcoholics Anonymous might be helpful. If it's drugs, Narcotics Anonymous, Cocaine Anonymous, Marijuana Use Anonymous. There are so many 12-step programs out there to deal with addictions that there is absolutely, positively no excuse to say, I just don't know how. Okay? No excuse whatsoever. There are treatment facilities out there. If you are watching shows like, reality TV shows or whatever else, they always have public service ads for, alcohol and drugs and all that. It's like, it's not a good excuse to say, well, I don't know how, because there are many ways that you can find out how to do that. Sitting and feeling regretful and continuing to drink or use drugs, if that's what it is you're feeling regretful about because of the, the well-intentioned resolution that you couldn't do, that was not going to, in fact, you know what feeds addiction? Shame. People feel ashamed, and the only way they know, their brain is telling them, hey, I know how to feel better about this. Hey, I know how to feel better. Do it again. Because those things light up your pleasure center like crazy and then drops you in a hole about 100 feet deep. Okay? So you might regret not being able to do it. If you can't do it, then you know that you need some help. You need guides. You need assistance in order to do it. And even with, there's Overeaters Anonymous. Or let's say you are, anorexic. There's, eating disorders Anonymous. There's so many ways you can do this, even if you don't have enough insurance or any insurance, or you can't afford to go to a therapist. And like I said, therapists might not be the most helpful if they don't do self-care. And I know that I'm going to have people on my butt about that. I don't care. I've been around a long time, and you can disagree with me if you like, but I'm telling you right now, if your therapist isn't practicing good self-care, and you can tell the minute you walk in, you don't need that person in your life. Not a good guide. Okay? Not a good guide. But having a regret means that, oh, whoops, I couldn't do that. Why couldn't I do that? I need to look at that. Why couldn't I do that? Let's say your well-intentioned resolution and goal is to save money. And, at the end of the month, you're already behind in just dealing with your life on day-to-day terms. Do you just feel regretful and ashamed about that and say, oh, gee, there I am being a loser again. I guess no. You say, this is what it is. It's like you take a regret and you kind of take it apart. You say, what is it about this that made it so hard for me that I wasn't able to do it? And again, that shame thing is about childhood trauma, all right? If you've got shame about this, know that it is not about now, and it probably isn't really about you. It's about the grown-ups in your life when you were growing up, not doing their job and blaming it on you, or you blaming it on yourself when you really didn't have any power to do anything differently. And so instead of feeling emotions that would be helpful for you, like motivate you to do it differently next time, that shame thing just puts you in a hole and you can't get out. Most people can't get out without some help. And even talking about it will help. Because even people, even your friends, if you say, oh, well, I'm just a loser. I don't know how to save money. And it's like, I just can't stop myself and blah, blah, blah. They're not going to say, well, yeah, you're a loser. They're not going to say that. They don't want you to feel ashamed. They're not going to shame you. And if they do shame you, if they say, yeah, you're a loser, you'll never get this. Like, you need new friends. Okay. And that might come out of that regret thing. It's like, wow, I can't seem to do this. And when I would talk to my friends about it, they just make me feel worse. Oh, wait, my friends aren't supposed to be the people making me feel worse. Maybe I need new friends too. Where can I find new friends that can help me learn how to save money, not drink, be more healthy, be more active, whatever? Well, I'll tell you what, a lot of people get friends in 12-step programs when they're trying to do these things because there are other people trying to do it and other people who have done it. Even if you walk into a 12-step program, you listen to what they say, and it's a sponsorship thing. You get a sponsor who's there for you and helps you all along the way. The sponsor you want, the ones that have done it and are doing it on a day-to-day basis. And by the way, when you have well-intentioned resolutions or goals or objectives in your life, okay, I can promise you that it's going to be part of the journey. There's no end point here. Okay? If you've got a gambling problem or you've got a spending problem, which, is out there like crazy now because of internet. You can buy anything you want on the internet and spend all kinds of money, and you don't even have to worry if you can't pay it. Because you'll just keep doing it and somebody will, maybe shut your credit card down or whatever, and then somebody else wants to pick it. It's ridiculous. But when you look at your room full of stuff that you bought that you don't need, that it's probably still in a box, you say, I might have I need to learn how to save. And these people going online and buying is not helping me. So instead of feeling ashamed and regretful, so you find a Dare Spending Anonymous and you get a guide that will help you. If you can't do it yourself, you need a guide to help you. Some people say, okay, I'm not going to spend money on the internet anymore. If that means that I have to get up and put a mask on and go to a store to get something I need. When you go to a store, for me anyway, first I have to make sure I have mask available. And then I have to make sure I have my wallet. And, and then it's like on the way, because I walk to a store, which is a few miles away. And, it's like on the way, I notice nature and nature bath. I call it a nature bath. I notice the birds. I notice the, other people on the street. I notice all these things. By the time I get there, it's like my brain is saying, do you really want this? Do you need this? Is this important to you? And then I feel fine saying, yeah, I don't think I want this. If you want to stop the spending issue that really is more because of the internet now than ever has been before, you say, okay, if I want something that bad, I'm going to go to the store and buy it. And then I at least have awareness, cognitive awareness of doing it. And I can look at my credit card or my checkbook or whatever I'm using or cash and say, do I have enough to buy this? And if I don't do it. That's what adults do. People who are in their adult reality say, can I afford it? And if I can't, I'm not having it. Unless it's an absolute need. Okay? If it's an absolute need, well, okay, here comes the credit card or whatever. And if it's going to cost me a fortune, then, I might have to look at other options. Okay? So, what I'm saying is that you use the regrets and you'll know if it's a bad regret because of the amount of shame you have. Now, there are regrets, it's like make a list of all the regrets you have, the things that you have or have not done that you regret. And say to yourself, could I do this? Can I do these things differently? Could I get that thing or get that achievement or whatever that I want that I regret not doing or doing? Can I make a difference? And if you can't, let it go. Really. One of the regrets that I have in my life is that I let, when I was younger, I let other people and their opinion of me matter more than my own opinion of myself. And so as a result, I might have done something different in my life. I've thought about what I might have done different in my life. And I say, well, yeah, I probably would have made some different choices about my professional life. And don't worry, it's like I'm 72. It's not like I'm going to be gone tomorrow, not doing this anymore. I chose this path and I don't regret it at all. It's been fulfilling. It's been interesting. I've experienced up and downs, and I will continue to experience up and downs. They're not as extreme as they were. Because I was in the middle of it then, and I'm now mostly semi-retired. But I'm not going to change that. I'm not going to go back and just, if I would do it all again, one of the things I would do differently was that I would become like a person that would take other people on adventures for a living, right? I'd probably have some kind of little company that would have been an adventure company. And if I would have done that as a young person, I probably would have had a pretty big company by now. So, but I go on adventures, and I will always go on adventures until I can't move my body anymore. And how's that going to happen? Self-care. I'm going to do what I need to do to keep my body well and in shape so that I can do the adventures I want to do. And one of those adventures is not going to be going down a big hill on a sled anymore, because I've discovered that I'm too old for that. But it doesn't mean that I can't go up and go on I can go on a smaller hill on a different sled. Goes a little slower than the one I was given. So what I'm saying here is that make the list of regrets that you have, take them apart and say, how can I get this thing that I really want, this, resolve? How can I get it done differently? If I need to get guides, I'll get guides. If I need to get a therapist, I'll find a way. And, you can get it on, you can talk to a therapist online. You can talk to a therapist on the phone. You could call helplines. I mean, it's out there for you. And of course, 12-step programs. Because even if you don't have a quote addiction, and that isn't an issue for you, Al-Anon is there. Because I would bet you that even if you don't have an addiction, somebody in your life has, that qualifies you for Al-Anon. And there are guides all over the place in those programs. Okay? Don't use the guides you've used before, and make sure that you use or get help from somebody that is doing it already, that they have something that you want and that you believe that how they tell you to get it would be true. This has been Dr. Donna, signing off.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Healing Your Family Legacy here on the Experience of the Soul podcast channel. This channel is made possible because of listeners just like you. If you would like to support the channel with your tax-deductible contribution on an ongoing basis or through a one-time gift, head over to experienceofthesoul.com/support. Healing Your Family Legacy is copyright 2023 Dr. Donna Bevan-Lee, all rights reserved. Our theme music is composed by Dave Croft and used with permission. The Experience of the Soul podcast channel is a production of 818 Studios.
Hey friends, Sean here, your Experience of the Soul producer. I want to take a moment to tell you about something truly exciting. The SoulWorks online community, created by your host, Cynthia Alice Anderson, and available on the Mighty Networks app. If you're looking for a place where you can explore your spiritual path, connect with others, and grow in a meaningful way, then this is for you. SoulWorks is so much more than an online community. It's a safe, inclusive space for spiritual exploration, self-discovery, and personal transformation. Inside the community, you'll find everything from uplifting spiritual studies to soul-centered growth practices, meditations, affirmations, and so much more. It's a space where you'll always be supported and never judged. The best part, membership is free. You'll have access to powerful resources, inspiring content, and a supportive group of like-minded people who are all on their own unique spiritual journeys. And if you're ready to dive deeper, there are premium options available to enhance your experience, with a live Monday night talk series and extended, deeper meditations. If you're seeking a place to connect, grow, and nurture your soul, we would love to have you join us in the SoulWorks community and see where this journey can take you. Visit my.soulworkscommunity.com today.